You know, in the AFC West that has the Chiefs who's trying to become the first team to three-peat, is it possible that the other teams might have more interesting storylines than that? It's entirely possible. What's going on, guys? Stick Support here, back to another video. Two divisions to go, both out in the West. We got the AFC side of things to talk about today. Let's start it off with the Denver Broncos. Okay, it's very clear what Denver has to do. They have to rebuild. There's no other way around it. They've already started doing that. Russell Wilson was cut, along with Justin Simmons, and Jerry Jeudy was traded to the Browns. Now, Courtland Sutton has been in trade rumors for a while now, and Garrett Bowles, he could be on his way out as well. Then they drafted Bo Nix in the first round, 12th overall. Yes, 6th quarterback off the board. Yes, technically this was a reach, but I don't care where a team gets their franchise quarterback as long as they get their franchise quarterback. I don't care if it's the 1st overall pick or the last pick of the draft. It doesn't matter where you get your franchise guy, and it doesn't matter you have to reach for your franchise guy. As long as you get him, that's all that matters. Now, do I think Bo Nix is going to be the franchise guy? I don't know. I want to see what he can do on the field. 2 different players at 2 different colleges was Bo Nix in college. It was Auburn and Oregon. Oregon, he played amazing, but Auburn, he was inconsistent. So how good is he really? I don't know. And we're not going to know until he gets on that field. And I completely understand the Broncos doing this because they could not have a season where it was Jarrett Stidham or Zach Wilson. It just wasn't going to happen. So for the last time, if he turns out to be the franchise guy, I don't care that he's the 6th quarterback that went 12th overall. That was technically a reach. As long as it works out, it's fine. Now, as for the Broncos themselves, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen in the short term. Who's going to remain on this team? I mentioned Sutton and Bowles, and there could be other guys that could be traded or cut in between while they figure out their future. And really, it's going to be interesting how this rebuild takes place. Do I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year? It's very possible, but I don't know if Sean Payton's really going to allow that. That's the question right there. What is Sean Payton going to do with this team in the next year or two? That's the big thing. So, are they going to try to tank a little bit, make sure they get top 5 picks? Well, probably not if they take Bo Nix in the 1st round, 12th overall. But do they have to do that in order to complete this rebuild? Well, not necessarily. It's going to be interesting with the Broncos for the next few years, but it's going to be a process. The Chiefs are trying to become the first team ever to three-peat as Super Bowl champions, and they might have the best chance to do it out of any team that has tried to do it before. And the reason I say that is, even without Willie Gay and L'Jarius Sneed, the defense is still very good. Trent McDuffie, I mean, he's been amazing since they took him in the 1st round. Chris Jones, he was re-signed. This guy is on a Hall of Fame path. He is one of the most feared defenders out there. I keep an eye on George Karlaftis. I think he's going to be in for a big season this year. And really, their defense just has solid players all around. And yes, L'Jarius Sneed, that's a big hole to fill. And Willie Gay, he was a tremendous role player for them. But I think they can overcome those losses and still be a very good defense this season. The biggest question is going to be in that receiving core. That receiving core was the worst that Patrick Mahomes has had since he took over as a starter. And players are now out. Others have come in. One, Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown is never going to be a #1 receiver in this league. That's just not who he is. But he could be one of the best #2s in this league. Travis Kelce may have lost a step, but he had a step to give. He is still a top tight end in this league. And then Xavier Worthy, talk about a match made in heaven. Now, don't expect him to be a Tyreek Hill. Just don't expect that. That is way too much to ask for him. But if he can be one of the most feared deep threats in the NFL this year, that is going to be a big plus for the Chiefs. And all he's got to do is catch. If he can just catch, he's going to be a good player in this league. The real question is going to be Rashee Rice. And I don't mean on the field. Well, actually I do, because we don't know how often he's going to be on the field this year. After the incident that got him arrested. We have no idea how much of the season he's going to miss, but we know he's going to miss time. Potentially at least half the season. That is a big loss for a guy that's supposed to be their number one receiver. He's supposed to be their number one, and if they're missing him for half the season, it is going to be a big loss for them. But Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes, so they should be fine. And Isaiah Pacheco, he is one of the best young running backs in this league, so they should be fine even without Bryce for a while. I mean, last year, that offense was the worst since Patrick Mahomes took over as a starter, and they still won the Super Bowl. I think you have to put your money down on the Chiefs to three-peat. I think they have to be Super Bowl favorites at this point because they do look like a better team than they were last year, specifically on offense. You know, the Raiders' quarterback position is very interesting this year. Gardner Minshew was signed in the offseason, and they still have Aiden O'Connell, who was, I'm going to say okay. He wasn't spectacular, but he was okay when he was thrust into the starting role last year. So we all thought, hey, they're probably going to go quarterback in the first round because O'Connell, he's not really somebody you think of as a franchise guy, and Gardner Minshew, he's a guy that can come in and get you some wins, but again, you don't really think of him as a franchise guy, you think of him as a bridge quarterback. Unfortunately, they didn't even have a chance to get a first-round quarterback because all of them were gone by the time they selected 13th overall. Now you're going into the season with these two competing for the starting job. This is going to be interesting for the Raiders. But what's also going to be interesting for them is Christian Wilkins teaming up with Max Crosby. Talk about a terrifying duo. I mean a terrifying duo. And their first-round pick from last year shows even more promise than when they selected him that high. Ooh, man, this could be a terrifying defensive line. Now, on offense, Josh Jacobs is gone. So they have to find a way to replace his production. Devontae Adams is still there, and they still have Colton Miller on the offensive line. But really, I'm not sure what to make of this offense. I really don't. With the questions at quarterback and then the questions at who their top running back's going to be, it's really something where I don't know what to make of this team right now. I really don't. Do I expect them to make the playoffs? Absolutely not. I mean, no. No. But all Antonio Pierce has to do is show that they're on the right track, and hopefully they should be fine. Antonio Pierce, he did a magnificent job as their interim head coach last year, and he rightfully earned the permanent title. Now he's got to show that he can get these guys in the right direction and show that he is going to be here to stay. Man, this Chargers team is going to be interesting for nothing more than just the return of Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh, after his rocky ending in San Francisco, went to Michigan, really brought them to another level, and got them the national championship last year. Now he's back in the NFL, and the question on my mind is going to be, what are they going to do passing versus running? I mean, Justin Herbert, he's a great quarterback, but that receiving core was gutted. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, they're gone. Josh Palmer is technically now their number one receiver, and Quentin Johnston's going to be put into a bigger role, and he had a shaky rookie season last year. And they also drafted Ladd McConkey in the second round, a pick that I absolutely love for this team. I think he's going to fit in nicely with a Jim Harbaugh-led offense. And at running back, they signed both Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. Now, Austin Eckler is gone. However, Edwards and Dobbins, if those guys are on and healthy, they're going to be very good. But again, Justin Herbert is one of the top young quarterbacks in this league. He has really done well since he took over as a starter, but the Chargers as a team really have struggled, and a lot of that was put on their head coach, Brandon Staley. Now that Harbaugh's here, is this going to lead to a big turnaround with this Chargers team? Also drafting Joe Alt in the first round so that they have a terrific duo at tackle with Slater and Alt wherever those two are going to be. Probably going to be Slater at left tackle and Alt at right tackle. Meanwhile, on the defense side of the ball, both Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack are back, and that's just big for this defense. It's big to have both of those guys back. They are a really good pass rushing duo. If they can stay healthy, that defense should be fine. Now, could this team compete for the division? I don't think so. I think the Chiefs are going to run away with it again. But I could definitely see them compete for a wild card spot. I could definitely see this team win 10 games if they can come together. Chargers could be a fun team to watch in 2024. Alright guys, those are my thoughts on the AFC West. Next up is the last division, the NFC West. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.